Fifth dimension. That's who the real programmers of our world are. The night unfurled as if woven from the same quiet, predictable darkness that envelopes every evening. It was the kind of night that persuades you into believing that, just for a moment, the world's incessant clamor has faded, that you can breathe and exist within the silence. But beneath that stillness, something was different, a shift too subtle to catch at first. It was the night when the boundary between the waking world and dreams would unravel, allowing shadows, ancient, patient, finally to creep forward. And once they did, there would be no turning away. Rumors had already started circulating, barely perceptible whispers at the periphery of everyday life. People said humanity was on the brink of something, evolving into a new stage, slipping into what they called the fifth dimension. The term carried an air of otherworldly mystery, echoing like a line out of some half-forgotten science fiction novel. Impossible, absurd even, to those who dared think about it too long. Yet, despite the implausibility of such an idea, a strange feeling lingered in the air, a quiet unease, as though reality itself was fraying at the edges, pulling apart, and preparing to give way to something we couldn't yet grasp. That night was when it began. The night began like any other, tranquil, wrapped in darkness, the kind of night that cradles you into a false sense of calm, as if the universe had momentarily hushed its eternal chaos. But beneath that veneer, something was different, something I couldn't perceive at first. This was the night where reality and dreams would dissolve into each other, where shadows, long dormant, would step into the light, unnoticed until it was too late to look away. Rumors had swirled around for days, whispers barely audible above the noise of everyday life. Humanity, they said, was evolving, stepping into the unknown, a transition into the fifth dimension. The phrase hung in the air like something plucked from the pages of a science fiction novel, unreal, absurd. But even so, the world felt unsettled, like the ground beneath us was shifting ever so slightly towards something we couldn't yet understand. That night, sleep found me late, weighed down by a restless mind. The strange occurrences people spoke of, their glimpses of glitches, distortions in their perception of reality, I had always dismissed them as overactive imaginations. Until that night, sleep took me swiftly, but it didn't bring peace. It swallowed me whole. I wasn't eased into the dream, as you might expect. No, it hit me all at once, like being doused in cold water. I stood in darkness. At first, it seemed empty, just me in the void. But then I sensed them, towering figures, just on the edge of sight, looming beside my bed. My breath faltered. These beings, if you could even call them that, weren't human. Tall, almost grotesquely so, their forms cast eerie shadows on the walls. Wings, enormous, dark wings that unfurled behind them like the cloaks of some ancient specters, and their eyes, crimson, burning like coals, cutting through the dark. I was frozen, pinned under some unseen force. I wanted to scream, to wake, to do anything, but I couldn't. I lay there, helpless, while they loomed over me, their presence prying at my thoughts, rifling through my mind like it was an open book. My memories flickered past, moments long forgotten suddenly unearthed, examined, then discarded. It was as though they weren't simply looking, they were searching for something. Their fingers, sharp, unnaturally long, hovered above my chest. Then, with an almost delicate precision, they traced their hands over me. Cold, electric shocks radiated from their touch, deeper than skin. And then it began. Visions, vivid, jarring, fragments of lives and places I had never known. Faces, strangers to me, yet hauntingly familiar. Landscapes that defy description. Alien cities, ancient and foreboding. Images, rapid and relentless, flooding my mind. Then came the wave. I was underwater, drowning. At first, I floated, weightless, lulled into false calm. Then the panic set in. No air, my lungs screaming, water crushing me from all sides. A tsunami towered over a city, unstoppable, obliterating everything. I tried to swim, to fight, but something pulled me deeper. I sank. Darkness swallowed me whole. And just as my vision blurred, I saw my hand reaching for the surface. I woke with a violent gasp. My heart raced, thudding against my ribs, sweat pouring down my face. For a moment, reality blurred. I wasn't sure where I was. My hands shook as I touched my face, trying to pull myself back into the waking world. But then I saw them, feathers. Black, sleek, impossibly large, scattered beside my bed. My breath caught. These weren't ordinary feathers. They were the same as those wings, those creatures. Panic clawed at me. Maybe it was a hallucination. Maybe the dream had somehow seeped into reality. But deep down, I knew the truth. They had been there. They had stood over me as I slept. I picked up one of the feathers, its smooth surface cold against my skin. This was real. Too real. The flood, the cities, those people, they weren't random. They were pieces of something I couldn't quite grasp. A future, perhaps? Or worse, a prophecy. The days that followed blurred into a haze of unease. I couldn't shake the feeling that the world had shifted, that reality itself had been pulled out from under me. I began seeing things. Small, barely perceptible changes. Mirrors that didn't reflect right, clocks that jumped forward then reset. Faces, fleeting glimpses of recognition from strangers. It wasn't just objects. My friends, my family, they changed. Subtle, almost imperceptibly so, but I noticed. Their voices, their mannerisms, they felt scripted, rehearsed, like they were trying to act normal and failing miserably. And then the places from my dream began to appear. They started as fleeting moments, street corners, cafes, déjà vu. But soon, I was walking through entire scenes from that night, as if the world was trying to align itself with the vision I had been shown. I kept a notebook, documenting every occurrence. At first, it felt absurd, but the more I wrote, the more undeniable it became. Something was happening, and I wasn't alone. I needed answers. I met with Alex, my friend, the rational one. If anyone could ground me, it was him. But as I recounted my experiences, I saw his expression change. "You're not the first," he whispered, his voice low. "Others are seeing things too. Strange dreams, glimpses of the future. They're calling it the fifth dimension." The words hung heavy between us. "Do you believe it?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "I don't know, but something's happening, and I think it's already begun." The world felt different that night. As we left, the stars above seemed dim, unsure of themselves. And then I saw it. A single black feather, drifting down through the night air. I picked it up, my hands trembling. "They're watching, aren't they?" Alex murmured beside me. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The future was coming, and I was powerless to stop it.